And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a little technical issues here going on. The last few days has been very, very tough on one of my co-hosts, Charlene Fouts. Charlene, I know you're watching. Bless your heart. My heart goes out to you. She's a trainer for one of the airlines, a private charter airline out of Los Angeles. And as a trainer, she was training some other employees, new employees, and someone came down with COVID-19 and everything was fine. And then this past weekend, she was going to be with us at the summit that we were on in India, the Water Conservation and Rainwater Harvesting Summit put on by a good friend of ours, Vanna Kosick. I believe I pronounced that right. And she could not get her internet going to save her. And I know how frustrating that is, bless her heart. I mean, because she worked so hard. She was looking so forward to being on there. And oh my goodness gracious, my heart just goes out to you, Charlene. It's going to get better, girl. It's going to get better. And today, bless her heart, she flew last night. She got a little bit of rest. She was going to be on a show with us today. Wasn't feeling good. She's got a temperature. And because of the past exposure to COVID-19, she's now isolated. So bless your heart. You're in our thoughts and prayers. You're going to be okay. It's going to get better. Bless your heart. And we miss you so much here at the station. And with me today is a good friend of mine. He is a bearded guru when it comes to health issues for veterans. I see him back there smiling at me. But really he is. He talks a lot about how the gut and the heart and the brain and all that's got to be in perfect harmony. And suicide is more physical problem than it is mental. He works very close with veterans. We'll talk a little bit about that today because it's such an important topic. But we want to cover the importance of using the 6-minute webinar into your presentation if you're asked to speak. Donna and I did that this past weekend, and it makes a world of difference. So I see him back there. He's moving things around, and he had a few little technical issues there, but he's up there getting something down, putting his headset on. Let's welcome Mr. Joel P. Peterson to our stage. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing. I've got to move next door, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Did you hear me refer to you as the bearded guru?
Oh, you know it. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, while you're moving over there, let's pay a little bill and let's remember Charlene, because here is Charlene. She's going to be doing the introduction for us. This is Miss Charlene Fouts, our good friend, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, girl.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-minute webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
And welcome back to the show. Looks like you got is that a parachute on in front of you or what?
No, that's fun. Veteran friend of mine got this blackhawk.com little ammo.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good thing to carry all your stuff around, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
I'd like to give you a chance to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience. I mean, that you've been on the show. You've been on the show once before, and you filled in as a co-host once before, didn't you?
Correct. I sure have.
Yeah. I mean, Joel is just very interchangeable like that. We use him like that, and he's just a great guy, good friend of ours. But for the folks out there watching for the first time, would you be so kind as to share with them a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Joel Peterson. I'm a 53-year-old United States Marine who got out in 1990, just before Desert Storm started. And after getting out in 1990, I tried to go to college, and my back started to go out really bad.
Mm.
And by the time 2014 rolled around, I started to get sick after a little over 24 years of disability. In 2015, I almost died, and Mom had to move in and feed me by hand to keep me alive. And there was some mistakes happening at the Veterans Administration, and that led me to a private doctor, and that's where I'm at, this private doctor's office today. And being caught at the last minute, I'm operating off the iPhone and the iPad right now, and I'm learning the iMac, and it's tricky, but
Mm-hmm.
training with Don, Jim, and Bill with S.C.A.L.E Pathway, former speakers, has been instrumental in my work with solving suicide for veterans, first, second, third responders. As many of you know, we have a very bad suicide situation going on in America. And I believe we're well over 150,000 veteran suicides in the past 20 years alone. And as for comparison, I know this hits me and Jim hard, but we lost a little over 56 to 60,000 in Vietnam in combat. So we're giving you comparisons there. And I do my best to teach people that this is physical more than it is mental. And so the doctor's office I work at here, we use supplements and food before we go to pills and harsher ways to quote unquote heal things.
Absolutely. That's very important because we had Dr. George Grant on. He's from, Dr. George Grant, and we've had him on the show. And he was talking about how your gut and your heart and your brain have all got to be in perfect harmony, and drinking plenty of water. And since he was been on the show, I mean, I've actually increased my daily intake of vitamin D3.
Correct.
And he says, if you want a good, immune system, the best defense is a good offense. And taking a lot of good vitamin D3. And it really is the foundation of your immune system and everything else. And it just supersedes any pharmaceutical drug out there as far as building your immune system from the ground up. But you've been involved with us with the 6-minute webinar.
Correct.
And I did something different, me and Donna did. This past weekend, we were invited to that wonderful summit put on by our good friend Vanya. And it's the water conservation and rainwater harvesting that she put on over there in India. And to be a small part of that, that was just tremendous for us. It really was. It was truly an honor. And what we did, we took the 6-minute webinar and we converted the format of that to convert it into a speech, into a planned, concentrated talk. Now, before I share that with the folks, I'd like for you to share a little bit, Joel. You've been through several of our workshops, boot camps. And if you were to describe the 6-minute webinar to someone, what would you tell them in your own words?
I haven't just trained with you guys. I've trained with multiple firms and multiple coaches, and I still am. Mm-hmm. And I literally believe it's one of the simplest platforms, 1, to learn, 2, to implement, and 3, to use for each individual part of your business. Like for myself, for veterans, first, second, third responders, with the veterans, I could implement a 6-minute webinar for female veterans, male veterans, combat veterans, non-combat veterans, and it's a very fast webinar. And there's a script and a template that allows you to even learn it faster. It's quite honestly, the clarity you get from it will blow you away.
It really will, because I got to tip my hat to my business partners, Dandy Don McGrath, we call him Dandy Don. He earned that title of being on the radio show with me.
And
And he really is a dandy guy. And the best way I can describe Don to anyone, Don is the friend that you have not met yet.
right.
He gives and he gives and he gives. And he's also very brilliant. He has 36 U.S. patents to his credit. He invented S.C.A.L.E,
Right.
which still blows my mind because you go in there and you answer about 40 different questions and you just hit submit right to your inbox, your email, and you get it within a minute. And you just start reading it. You go, oh my goodness, this is it. First time you read your 6-minute webinar, this is it. You know it. And the reason this is not an infomercial today, folks, about the 6-minute webinar, but this is about how people that's struggling with their business, how people are, just, trying to find somebody that can help them get from where they are to where they want to be.
Correct.
If it's an author, if it's an online marketer, whatever it might be, the 6-minute webinar is your friend. Plus, if you're an author or a marketer, you need to know how to talk. You need to know how to present yourself to the public.
Correct.
And the 6-minute webinar, I use that basic format to do my talk for my presentation over on the last summit. And I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But my point being, in the 6-minute webinar, the very first sentence, it either attracts your ideal client, which it will, and it will automatically repel everyone else that's you can't help.
Right.
You take, for example, I like to use Stephanie Duane as an example. I call her the ka-ching lady. And there's a reason for that. She was telling me and Dawn after we put on that 6-minute talk out in Phoenix, when are you guys going to bring it back? This is my personal ATM machine. We're kind of like, oh, okay.
Right.
And this shows you how smart that I was, not Dawn, but me. And really didn't think too much about it. And she's a clinical hypnotist, and she helps people lose weight. She helps people quit smoking. She helps people deal with anxiety, a number of things. Each one of her specialties is an individual 6-minute webinar. And let's just say lose weight, for example, and I'll give you a chance to build on this a little bit, Joel. I seem like I'm hogging all the mic. I apologize for that, brother. That's the Army. I mean, you Marines got to, hey, Army, you need to step aside.
Right.
But in the first sentence, during this 6-minute webinar, I will show you 3 proven ways that you can lose weight. Boom, right there. That's it. You've attracted the people that you want. It's interested in losing weight, and everybody else like me and Joel is not interested in losing weight or don't, looking to lose weight. We're out of there. And Joel, that first sentence, that really is it just reaches out and grabs them, doesn't it?
It's the piece that many are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
The clarity in who, what, where, why, when, and how. It's like the English teacher that teaches us that first sentence or 2 is supposed to be the thesis for your whole essay. It's the same thing with business, same thing with the 6-minute. And it allows you with the S.C.A.L.E to answer the question specifically to what you're doing. And working with Bill on top of Don, the amount of clarity with the most minimal amount of words, it's priceless.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bill, I call Bill the dean of the 6-minute webinar. I gave him that title. Did that one time live on the radio show, and he just started cracking up. But that's actually a good title for him.
Yeah.
Don is the doctor. He's the guy behind S.C.A.L.E, and he's also a wordsmith. But, Bill has that unique ability to trim the fat off the words.
Right.
And get people out there. And I mean, goodness. And you never thought about using this 6-minute webinar for your talk, have you?
No.
Yeah.
No. I've got 3 people in the queue that I'm waiting for them to call.
Mm-hmm.
myself and people I work with know are suicidal.
Mm.
So I'm one of those entrepreneurs who, as I was training, I started to do what I love, and I love what I do.
Right.
And I'm quite honestly busy and overwhelmed with what I've got going on.
Yeah, sure.
And to start slowing that down had a very difficult process for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pricelessness of the 6-minute webinar.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to allow me to put this into a very fast format, get a couple of webinars out to my LinkedIn page, to Instagram, to Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
as I start to build my website and hone this in so I can become that entrepreneur that a lot of us want to do. So I
Okay.
any more veterans and
Sure.
and responders.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Well, we were on the air there on the summit. I gave this free gift out to the listeners out there, the audience, and it still stands. If you would like to have to be able to attend one of our workshops, the next one's coming up in June the 5th. I think that's a Saturday, June the 5th, a little over a month from now. But if you'd like to attend, this is what it will be. You just email me here at the station, inspiration at E360TV, and just say free webinar or whatever logs into your mind there. And what I will do, I will get you a free pass. And Joel knows this to be true. It's free to come.
Right.
It's free to leave. There's no obligation to buy. It's a 3-hour workshop. And you will leave there with your very own 6-minute webinar. And
Right.
once you have that, guess what? You can make another one for this and another one for that because you got the basic model. Would that be a correct assessment, Joel?
Oh yeah, they'll go through the script, pal. I just did it yesterday. I was there, or actually Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Yep. And they give you the script, pal link, and you click on the through it as they go through it with one of the people in the Zoom. And it's, when you're done, boom, you hit the send, submit, and like you said, within a minute or two, it comes right back to your email. You grab it, and it's got your whole webinar. And then it's priceless. There's a way to do it with them, or have them do it for you. It can happen very fast.
Yeah. And the reason why we give away free tickets like that to our webinar, it's very, very simple. We know there's a lot of people out there hurting. They're financially strapped. We don't want to burden them anymore, but we want to give them value in their life. And we have a lot of people that, come to our webinars, and you ask any marketer anywhere, any place, I don't care who it is or what they do. But do you know what our average is of people buying our VIP programs and other programs that we offer and classes and things of this nature? Do you know what out of the attendance that come for free? Do you know what our the average is over the last several, not just one or two, not a high, but the average?
I think he mentioned it. I don't remember.
70%.
I'm gonna say 60. Yeah.
Yeah, 70% of and the only way that happens, ladies and gentlemen, is that they can see, hey, these guys are no joke. They provide value.
Yeah.
And see, by us allowing someone coming into our webinars and them not being able to, maybe they're strapped on cash. I mean, they may be out of work for a while. They may be struggling to buy the groceries and pay the rent. And if we just bless them, we're going to get blessed in return because we know that we're not doing it for the money.
No.
We really aren't. And for 70% closure, to any marketer out there would tell you, I'll take that that closing ratio any day of the week. And it's because it's all about value. But now I want to go to commercial break, and we'll be right back right after this brief message from Angel Marie Monticelli.
Hi, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli with Angel Marie Shines. And I had the pleasure, the honor to go through training for the 6-minute webinar. Oh my gosh, This webinar and how it's structured and how they teach it. Thank you, Speakers Pathway Coalition. Thank you, Don McGrath and the whole team for the 6-minute webinar, because you made it so simple, easy. And the way you lined it out with the outline, I can reproduce it. And I'm already getting the engagement. I'm getting people that are coming back that are saying, oh, I love this webinar that's so short, so to the point, and I love your products and what I'm selling, but then what I'm also, the services that I provide, and I do any of this because I have the framework. So thank you so much to the whole team, because the 6-minute webinar totally rocks. Thank you.
You know, Joel, when her parents named her Angel, they really named her the perfect name. I love Angel Marie Monticelli so much. She's a high energy person that when she puts on events and she works with event coordinators, because the event coordinators, they want some people to get excited. You know, they want to get some energy going there. They call upon Angel Marie Monticelli. She is that good. In fact, at E360 TV, we're going to be doing some more things with Vanya over there in India, where she put on this recent event, the water conservation and rainwater harvesting, Vanya Kusik. We're going to be doing some more with her with E360 TV, and we're going to be doing an event for her, working with her to raise money for a nonprofit. Guess who's going to be there as the event cheerleader?
Oh, amen.
Amen. Angel Marie Monticelli. That's how good she is, because she's a high energy level lady, and she's just a wonderful person that gives from the heart. But now we've heard a lot about the 6-minute webinar, how we can use it for sales and all that. So the challenge for me, and I'm putting myself right here, my head on the neck on the chop block here, because you've been to several webinars, and I want you to be honest with me. Mm-hmm. With the audience. Say, okay, Jim, I like this, but I didn't like that. Be honest. Give me true feedback, because this is for the benefit of the people out there. And here I am, one of the owners, so I hope I do good. If not, I'll get over it. But let me just share with you. First of all, my topic was going to be reaching out to the men there and how to get them involved, neighbor helping neighbor, that sort of thing. Because obviously the only thing I know about water is drinking it and showering with it. You know, I know a little bit about water wells, but I can witch a water well, but I was no value in that area. But where I could provide value was in providing enthusiasm for it. And this is what I crafted up. Today, I will share with you 3 key ways to motivate your neighbors and get them into action. What would it feel like to bring your neighbors together to make your community a better place to live? That would be awesome, right? We would all love to improve our community, but sometimes it's so hard and requires so much work. You procrastinate or wait for someone else to do something. You try to get others involved, and you receive little to no results. You depend on someone else to solve your problems. Does this sound familiar? I remember it was 41 years ago. When I was 31 years of age, I was trying to get people excited and involved in our local fire department. I couldn't understand why others were not getting excited like I was. I served on the board of the fire department, and I just couldn't see why they could not see what I thought was important. I felt very frustrated. Has something like this ever happened to you, when someone cannot see your vision?
Right.
Would you like me to share with you a secret that I unexpectedly stumbled over that will help you get leaders in your community excited and motivated? My promise to you is by the end of this presentation, you will know the 3 keys I learned to unite and motivate others to have the desire to better community. How does that sound? I'm Jim Grant. I'm a radio and television host. And for over the last 7 years, I've been showing people ways that they can get people involved in their community and how to get them motivated from a grassroots level so they can get their community united. Like I said, I stumbled across this solution quite unexpectedly. I was struggling at the time and I was very aggravated. So I decided to ask questions and try to understand why I could not get others excited in this worthy cause. I went to other fire departments. I figured they must have the same problem I've got. What I discovered was I was not listening to my neighbors. I was telling them what they should do rather than asking them for their ideas and their opinions. Because let's be honest, no one knows it all, and I certainly didn't. With this newfound knowledge, I called a meeting for an open-minded, friendly, neighborly discussion. And I was so happy because I learned that everyone felt like I did. They wanted to improve their neighborhood. And this excitement got me all fired up again, and I was able to use this to be able to motivate the neighbors into action. There were 3 key steps that I implemented in that meeting. First of all, it was going to be a very positive dialogue with the neighbors. We sat down and we shared our ideas and our visions, respecting each other's opinions. Secondly, as I listened, I made a list of all the items that were listed, and we put them in priority. Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, so on and so forth. Then number 3, we implemented. Notice I'm saying we. The community implemented a solid plan to accomplish these items. When these 3 key things were implemented and put in place, the results were astounding. I had a young man by the name of John who worked with me, and he followed my advice. He told me that when he shared a short-term vision of the benefits of the mission with his employees, because he was a lot of them were older than him, same situation I was in, to improve their community and respect, he just ran into all kind of problems. He says, in my neighborhood, the area that we work in is in neighborhoods. He says, we struggled. No one could see the short-term vision that I had. And I led him through the same process. I taught him what I learned. When he changed his mind and he looked, he was able to get his subordinates excited about what he was doing and motivated. And most importantly, I would love to share with you how you can motivate your neighbors, helping neighbors in the friendly discussion. And if you contact me here at the station, Inspiration E360 TV, I'll be more than happy to share with you what I learned so many years ago. And I've helped a lot of people since then get with their neighbors, have a meeting of the minds, and most importantly, be positive and attract your neighbors and get them motivated into action. These tools are very simple, but they're very powerful. Again, I'm Jim Grant. Just email me at inspiratione360tv.com.
Wow.
I just read the complete outline of my talk, but because I had longer than 6 minutes, obviously I expanded in some areas and I got a little lost there. So I apologize for that. But let me ask you a question. How did that sound?
From what I've learned from most of the sales pitches and the webinar pitches, on average, they're 45 minutes long. And I believe those that are watching us out there realize that. That's what most people teach. That's what they advocate. That's what a lot of the templates are set up for. That's how they do this. And I believe you wrapped up a 45-minute pitch and a sale in between 6 to 8 minutes. And I bet you could have done it. And we say 6-minute webinar, it doesn't have to be 6 minutes. You can do a 6-minute webinar in 3 minutes.
Yeah, you can do it in 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are huge. A lot of people like those fast hitting, quick. This is what you need. This is what we can help you with.
Yeah.
This is how you can implement it. And this is what you will get from all the results.
Yeah. Just give me the facts. That's what they want.
Yes.
And people, they value time more than they do money. And Joel, I know you'll get a kick out of this. I don't remember the product I was looking at. It was some kind of a health benefit, keep me young. Okay. I'm 72, going to be 73 in August. So if anybody says they got something to keep me young, I'll listen to them. I may not believe them or buy their product, but at least I'll listen to them. And like you said, these webinars, the first 20 minutes is about the problem. I already know what the problem is. It wouldn't be there. And then during that 20 minutes, then they give some of them give this ridiculous story.
Right.
I went to some place way in, Africa or Borneo or wherever. And I got with this guide and we rode up this river for, half the day. And then we trucked another 6 miles or 6 hours into the hills. And I sat there and I looked at this chief and I thought this must be the chief's son or grandson. He only looked like he's about 29, but the man was 86. And I'm going like, oh, come on. Now I'm about ready to throw up because I've had enough of this garbage. But they go on and on and on about the dramatics.
Wow.
When someone is hurting, they want to know one thing. Can you solve my pain? Can you heal me? And if someone is struggling with their business, they want to know one thing. Can you help me, attract my clients? That's all they want to know. They don't, I didn't mention who I was, like the 6-minute webinar is designed till about halfway through the speech. I'm Jim Grant. I'm radio and TV. Okay. Now I can share my credibilities because I've got some interest there and I've built up some credibility in my story. But my goodness gracious, Joel, when it comes to the 6-minute webinar, you use it with your veterans.
Yeah.
And every specialty has its own group or special clients, every group.
Correct.
And if someone is listening out there and they're wondering whether or not, they should, whether they should become involved with a 6-minute webinar or should they look for something else, what would you from the bottom of your heart tell them?
It's going to absolutely blow you away. It's as a Marine who was a grunt, I'm infantry, and there's a reason we're quote unquote famous for getting the job done. We like to go from A to B, no matter what the means. And we don't like a lot of politics. We don't like a lot of fluff. We just get the job done. Mm-hmm. No matter what has to happen. And we get in the proper mindset to do it as fast and or efficient as possible. Adapt, overcome, improvise. Simply adapt, overcome, improvise. And then you implement. And so that's what Don, yourself, and Bill have all figured out. And through, let's be honest, some time behind the screen here, some time behind coaching a lot like myself over the past year and a half. You guys have been doing this for a while. And through all that experience that all of you have achieved, you've learned how to cut through the fluff because you really want to help. Mm-hmm. You guys, sure. you guys realize why Angel wants to help people. You realize why I want to help people. One of my hardest things is charging suicidal doctors, suicidal veterans, suicidal law enforcement. How do you do that? How seriously? Well, I learned through you guys, there's a customer and an end user. So if I go to a law enforcement agency, the agency can pay for it or the union can pay for it and I can help the veterans out. So I could literally go to the fire station and do a 6-minute webinar right up on top of the screen. Boom, here it is. And then I take myself out of it and they watch this professional presentation. And it's really hard. And then I come in and do my speaking. I have the gift of gab. That's brilliant. And I know how to teach these professionals who have suicidal ideation and are sick and upset with a lot of the corruption and a lot of the crud going on in America. Jim, I just learned that America was out of 15, we're number 13 for one of the most dangerous countries in the world.
Wow.
13th. It's absolutely mind-blowing what's going on in America. So when I was here listening to you talk about neighborhoods, I had a chaplain who told me once, she's like, I've lived in my house now for about a year, and I wake up in the morning, I go into my garage, I get in my car, and I drive to the VA. When I'm done at the VA, I get in my car, I drive home to my garage, and I go in and I continue on. So even as a chaplain, as a major in the Army, this chaplain doesn't get out and see the neighbors.
Wow.
And this chaplain knows they need to do that. Okay. So could you imagine if you or I even said, hey, look, here's a quick little 6-minute webinar. And I just send it to this chaplain and say, hey, what if you held a little neighborhood party? You could even put it on a screen right outside. So it can be that quick and that and that professional. And then for the person who's really trying to break through that barrier of making the money, you, like you said with Stephanie, you might get so many clients, you might not know how to handle all the clients. I really mean that. Really.
As you're talking, the 6-minute webinar would be a great thing for teachers in schools to be able to communicate with the parents, getting the kids to buy in on many projects, because we normally think, and the special niche of the 6-minute webinar was originally created for people in business and marketing and that sort of thing. But what's happening, and I see this happening now, it's evolving on its own.
Right.
Because just as I used it just for my presentation, I'll bet you're going to implement a little presentation too from the 6-minute webinar. But look how it could be from what you just said, how it can evolve and move on into neighbors, helping neighbors, getting involved with no money exchanging hands now. We're talking about neighbors coming together for neighborhood watches, for neighborhood cleanup, whatever it might be, to take on a project, to even help clean up an elderly person's home, or if they need yard work or whatever. You use a 6-minute webinar for that and let everyone buy in. It's just perfect for that. Wow. And I'd like to say I was smart enough to figure that out, but Joel is the one that said it. Joel Peterson, right here on television, he said it. So I want to give Joel credit. But that is the wonderful thing.
Yeah.
When you come from the heart and you look how you can serve and bless others, things just come to you. It says, hey, there's a need here. There's a need there. It has nothing to do with money, not the true master key to riches in life. It has everything to do with you being a good steward of what you're in charge of. That's what you're supposed to do in life anyway. If you're blessed with things, you should bless others.
Well, think about the billion during the time when everybody ran out of toilet paper. Like being a millionaire and you didn't have toilet paper and you couldn't go get none. Your money help per se. I'm just saying.
Joel, that had to be some bonehead Neanderthal guy that came up with that. Says, Myrtle, when you go to the supermarket, you be sure and get every roll of toilet paper you can. I mean, who would come up with, you would think, hey, canned goods, beanie weenies, tuna fish, whatever, all the things in cans, you think that'd hit top priority. But no, Myrtle, we got to get us some more toilet paper. It had to be some guy. I can't see some lady coming up with something that like they're too level-headed. Let's just give the ladies credit. They're too level-headed for that nonsense. But what really happened to us is that we became reactive rather than proactive. You get out of your car at the supermarket, and what's the first thing you do? Jetpack for the toilet paper aisle. I did it too, man. I did. And then you saw the cartoon with it was a cartoon where the lady comes out of the house and she's kind of, big and all over. And you could see for the bra, she had 2 rolls of toilet paper for a bra. Went over and visited the neighbors again. I mean, we got to have humor because you mentioned a lot of problems here in the United States, and we've got a lot of them. And the one thing that I see that we can do,
Sad.
we the people, not only here in the United States, but around the world, we can come together and we can share, the essence of a 6-minute webinar from the heart to help people get united, to educate people as well. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest with you, here in the United States, we have had some of the poorest leadership in Washington, D.C. I've ever seen in my life. These people they're pitiful. And to be honest with you, we should feel sorry for them and we should pray for them because they need it. And the news media is not much better. And I don't normally get into politics or anything like that. But what I'm saying, we need to stop labeling people as being this or being that. Everyone's a human being. We all want to be loved. We all want to be liked. We all want to be appreciated. And we all want to be respected, Absolutely. And if we do that and we work together, neighbor helping neighbor, what a difference the little people can make.
Well, love thy neighbor like you would love thyself.
Yeah.
It's the basis, almost literally the basis for America.
It's the basis of civilization, really. Because I remember growing up, my mother used to always tell me, she said, if you can't say anything nice about someone, don't you say anything at all about them.
No.
And I really appreciate my mother teaching me that because it's so true. Because people are hurting. And a lot of times when they're hurting, you don't know what they've been through in their life. That's the tragedy. And like I say, if you'd like to know more about the 6-minute webinar, just email me there here at the station, Inspiration E360 TV. We'll make sure you get a free complimentary pass, free to come, free to leave, no obligation to buy, and you will leave with your very own 6-minute webinar, compliments of us here at the show. And I tell you, Joel, we've already been on the air 42 minutes. Can you believe that?
I know it goes fast.
It does. It does. And one of the things that I had to deal with in my life, and I'm sure others can relate to this, and that is procrastination.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is the most horrible thing that can cripple you on all fronts. I've been guilty of that, ladies and gentlemen. And I just remember to push that self-starter that says, do it now, do it now, do it now, to get me going. And when it comes to having the 6-minute webinar and what it can do for you and how it can reach out, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
So far today, I demonstrated a 6-minute talk that I gave, which was actually longer than that, but I used the 6-minute webinar format for it, which enabled me to expand in different areas. Also, too, we saw how, Joel can reach out to veterans for it.
Yeah.
And then Joel came up with that brilliant idea about neighbor helping neighbor. When I mentioned that, it gave him an idea.
Yeah.
And that's really something. And the people you work with there, I was shocked when we had you on. It was either the TV show or the radio show when you talked about the suicide rate of doctors.
Yeah.
That really hit me. Would you share that with us, please?
We believe doctors are succumbing to suicide at 40 per 100,000. Veterans are roughly at 30 per 100,000. Civilians, Americans, are around 13 to 15 per 100,000. And our 10 to 24-year-old youth, their number one cause of death now is suicide. With COVID going on and all this phone and social media going on, we've lost touch with the fellow neighbor. That's why I brought in the chaplain's process. And there's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of anger, and a lot of impulse. And I don't know if I told you this, Jim, but just within the past couple of months, we lost a doctor at the Veterans Hospital parking lot here in Reno, Nevada. So it's hard. And we don't hear about these stories. It's not like that was published in the paper or published even in the media. A lot of law enforcement, a lot of doctors' families, and veterans. There's a massive amount of pride in those professions. And when I went through the 6-minute webinar on Saturday, it's like, okay, here I'm reading verbatim on mine. It says, welcome to the 6-minute webinar where I will share with you 3 keys to finding a new doctor, get a new proper medical lab, deal with the pills and or wrong food. Now, I could look at this from a entrepreneur business standpoint, or I could be the patient. I call myself the professional patient because I'm learning that someone on the block or a volunteer can be a very, very powerful person. Doctors are absolutely overwhelmed. I volunteer with Dr. William Clearfield. He's been a doctor for 43 years, folks. And for a long time, they called him the quack because he's a doctor of osteopathic medicine. So he likes to use food and supplements before pills. Foods and supplements, how do you patent those? You don't. They're natural. So there's no money in that. So that's part of why the Rockefellers took over that type of industry. And we all now know that. 10 to 12% of the doctors in America right now use the American Medical Association. That's it. So even they know the AMA has been bought off. And I'm not getting political. I'm being honest. And doctors are killing themselves because it's not about science no more. It's about politics. And you were just talking about politicians. Some of those politicians have now been in office longer than I've been alive, Jim.
I know it. Yeah, when they run for office, they run to fix all the problems, and they're the ones that created all the problems.
So what's volunteering?
Yeah.
So volunteering and helping out many people come in and we're all the Google doctor. We all know what our symptoms are. We all know this. We all know, we watch TV. So the TV tells us to take this pill. The TV tells us to go take this vaccine. And after you take this vaccine, you're going to be out on a beach and you're going to be living the dream. And now we're seeing the replications and the repercussions of this with our veterans, with our doctors, with our youth, with our people. It's really literally killing a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
It just is. And so a webinar like this can get personal to someone like me because it allows me to get this type of message even out to someone like Dr. Clearfield, who speaks amongst a lot of doctors. And now doctors are starting to come to him and they're listening to me speak about, we believe this is physical, not mental. The gut and the heart. When you realize the gut and the heart drive the brain, you can't meditate your way to happiness if you're not eating the right foods.
That's right.
As simple as that. You get your energy from food too. So if you eat the proper food, you do better. But a lot of these doctors run 12, 14, 16-hour days. So they eat out of the stores. They eat out of the restaurants. They really do. It's crazy. We go to a local restaurant for a main meal for Dr. Clearfield every lunch, every day. He has a good lunch. So I believe it saves his life. But he absolutely lives for his patients. And, speaking of 6-minute webinar, he's a storyteller. So he loves to sit there and talk with the patient. He'll spend the full 45 minutes. And he's like, you should be doing this. And I guarantee you his little spew, we could probably get done. And I'll try it. Like, why don't I just commit to doing that? See if we can get his little, this is what you do. This is how much vitamin D you need. This is what we like. This is the type of food we like. This is what you shouldn't eat. This is how much you should be in the sun. This is how much movement you should get during the day, and that just took me 10 seconds to say, but he takes 45 minutes. Now, if you hone that into 6 minutes, he could squeeze in another patient.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's that powerful.
Yeah. Because it's really the bullet points, giving people the decision to be able to, because their mind is quicker than a computer. You give them the facts that they know to be true, and boom, 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 boom. And the 6-minute webinar, it also has a call to action.
Brilliant.
And my call to action is just simply email me and I'll get you the stuff, which was, with it depends on what 6-minute webinar you're doing. But when you talk about suicide, every time I hear about suicide, it really hits home to me. I lost a cousin when I was probably 10 or 12. It's still a debate whether it was suicide or whether it was murder. Okay. We will never know in this life, you might say. But when I lost my son-in-law to suicide, he suffered from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And that was a disease of the brain. And all of the tests that he went to, no one could tell us what was going on with him. We knew something was wrong, but we didn't know what. And there were times that he would be perfectly normal, and other times he'd be confused and this and that. And the one thing that haunted me, and it will always haunt me to some degree, but it really haunted me big time in the days after he committed suicide back in 2013. And that was, I was getting ready to go on the air. I had a radio show back then. Got one now, but it was a different show we had back then. I operated from 2006 to 2014. And he says, "Hey, Jim," he was in the air. He says, "I want to stop by and talk to you." I said, "Well, I'm only about 15 minutes from going live." He says, "Oh, okay." That was the last time I talked to him.
It hits me really hard when you say that, and I didn't pick it up the last time we talked about this. This is where I believe my brilliance, my superpower comes in. You have to really be careful we have to be careful of words. We call this a disease, like we say genetic depression.
Mm-hmm.
Now know that it more than likely is due to traumatic brain injury. The CTE is due to traumatic brain injury, repeated traumatic brain injuries. And
yes.
when you go through the traumatic brain injury, it throws off the hormones. And when the hormones are thrown off, just like in the body, it allows you to get sick. It allows the dis-ease to come into the body. And that's how we have special labs for the brain to measure the brain hormones. We have a brain-derived neurotropic factor in our brains. And that's all run by the body hormones. So when these hormones get thrown off, a lot of doctors are not trained to measure the brain hormones. So you just sick. So what we do now is if someone comes in like that, we can catch them and balance out their hormones and stabilize them. So they literally get some of their memory back. They literally, they don't get lost in the thought and the frustration and the temperature differentiations in their body. It's absolutely mind blowing, Jim, what I've seen Dr. Clearfield do with some, really messed up bad vets, really messed up people who've been through some traumas, ambulance, fire, police. Yeah, I'm waiting for a fireman to call me right now. He did a post on Facebook, absolutely just livid. He just can't take it no more. He's tired of seeing all of his fellow firemen kill themselves due to suicide. And it's a tricky situation. It really, and I'm looking really forward to getting some webinars on my website. Ready to create. I contacted the lady today. I've got another coach that I'm meeting tomorrow that I'm seeing, and I believe I'm gonna create a website, Jim, that's anonymous. And what I'm thinking about doing is make it so you could identify yourself as law enforcement, fire, veteran, military, doctor, nurse, but I'm not going to know if you're black or white. I'm not going to know if you're Republican or Democrat.
Or male or female or none of that stuff. Yeah.
I not even know male or female until we get you to a doctor, because that's for the doctor. What I want to be, like you said, 6 minute. Hey, look, we believe this is gut and heart related. The heart has in it, and they have memory. So your gut and your heart communicate to the brain, and your mind has a perception and a belief between what's going on between those three. When you start to take pills and you mess up the mind, it's really hard to recover from that. And that's the best way I could put it. So this would give these people I think a format to express themselves in a atmosphere of trust.
Right
now, speak out. Their medical boards or their police unions will fire them if they start talking about this stuff.
Oh yeah. And see, like in Mark's case, he could be sitting there. One time he told my daughter, he says, Lisa, he says, I know there's something wrong with me, but I don't know what. And she says, well, Mark, we're here for you. We'll work with you. And then just like that, he said, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. It flipped that quickly. And I mean, that was what we were dealing with. And, my goodness gracious, if we would just know, look what we know now that we didn't know just a few short years ago. And with the power of the 6-minute webinar that Joel has got expertise with, if you email Joel at Joel at 67@gmail.com.
Correct.
Or you can visit him on Facebook at Joel B Peterson.
Yep.
And he's got a Facebook page that's also Joel B Peterson, the Professional Patient, I believe it's called.
Correct.
And your other social media, are you like on LinkedIn or anything?
Yep.
Or
and I've just started creating a Twitter page and you have an Instagram page too. And Ariadna is going to be working with me soon on the web page, a web site, and get all those links on there and start getting the webinars going right away.
Oh yeah, because it's so important. So if you or someone is suffering from suicidal tendencies or depression or whatever, please reach out to Joel. He's got a lot of information there for you. And he's going to get the 6-minute webinar set up to address these things, because time is of the essence.
Yes.
Speaking from someone that lost someone in their immediate family to suicide, please don't wait.
No.
Please don't wait, because when they make the wrong decision, and I'm stepping out there saying the wrong decision, but when that decision is made, it's a final decision, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that. And
it's an impulsive decision based on the perception you think you're going to be mental and sick like the rest of your life. Yeah. I feel hope, and I prove that there are solutions out there. We just have to find them, because the people you right now haven't found them. It's you're physically sick, not mentally. And I can.
Joel, do you think your doctor friend would be available tomorrow, both of you, to be interviewed here on the show?
I could. He's a couple months booked, but let me see what I can do with Christy.
Okay, and because this is a very important topic to a lot of people out there, and we can shift what we're going to do tomorrow to a later date, because there's someone out there that needs to hear this message, and our time is gone. We're closing in there. So Joel and I will get together on that, and if not tomorrow, I will tell you when we're going to do it. Okay? Joel, thank you so much for filling in on about a 5-minute notice after we found out about Charlene was been quarantined. Thank you so much. Thank you for your great information.
My pleasure, Jim.
And thank you for the wonderful things you said about the 6-minute webinar. I appreciate you, brother.
Priceless.
Yeah. Let me know and we'll get working on that right away. Okay.
Sounds like a plan, Jim. You have
Okay. Thank you.
did I lose you?
Do this probably tomorrow or maybe the next day, real soon. And most importantly, please share this show with someone else. On behalf of Joel and myself here at the Messages of Inspiration and Hope, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a blessed day and love yourself and love others. We'll see you later. Bye bye.